sometimes it's a perfect song in our season here. May not be a perfect time for my voice to sing. My sinuses feel like they're going to pop out of my face. But regardless, the message is here, and that's what I pray is clear, and that speaks to your heart. Because when you are a child of God, you're not alone. You are partnering with Christ to share his love. I wanted to share Isaiah 61. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to captives and freedom to prisoners. We are equipped, we are not alone, and we are meant to share his love. There is a candle in every soul, some brightly burning, some dark and cold. There is a spirit who brings a fire, ignites a candle, and makes his home. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the hopeless, confused and torn. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle, go light your world. Take your candle, go light your world. Frustrated brother, see how he's tried to light his own candle some other way. See now your sister, she's been robbed and lied to, still holds her candle without a flame. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the lonely, the tired and worn. Hold out your candle for all to see it. Take your candle and go light your world. Take your candle and go light your world. 'Cause we are a family whose hearts are blazing. So let's raise our candle and light up the sky. Bring to
Turn your Bibles to 1 Peter 4, 7 through 11. And what Peter is going to do is tell us how to light our candle. This is some specifics on what Jim sang and Grace played for us. Let's go ahead and read this right away. 1 Peter chapter 4, I'll start with verse 7. Peter writes, "The end of all things is near. Therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others, faithfully administering God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, he should do it as one speaking the very words of God. If anyone serves, he should do it with the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen." So how can you light your candle? Peter gives us 4 very specific things. Peter tells us that your prayer matters. He tells us that your love matters. He tells us that you're welcome. You're the welcome you extend to other people. You yourself, that matters. And he tells us that your gift, whatever ability God has poured out into you, that matters. Let's just look at each one of these in turn and think about some specific things that God wants us to do. First of all, your prayer matters. And by the way, Brenda, we're skipping the first 2 slides and going to the last. Your prayer matters. Verse 7, he says, "The end of all things is near." That's what we've been talking about for this month, right? We're in the 4th quarter, right? Jesus is coming back, and we don't know when that's going to be. Maybe it'll be today, maybe it'll be 1,000 years from now. We don't know. But apart from even that, we know that our time is limited on this earth. So one fashion or another, the end is near. And having said that, noted that, he said, first thing to think about is keep your mind sharp so that you can pray. Now that's a little different way of thinking about prayer. Usually when we think of prayer, the attitudes that accompany it, we think of passion, being passionate in prayer, right? And that's important. We think about having faith in prayer. And that, of course, is incredibly important. But Paul talks about being clear-headed. Keeping your eyes clear, your mind clear, being sober, alert, disciplined, sharp. That's what he says is important for prayer. And it ought not surprise you that Peter would think about the importance of being clear-headed in prayer, because this was his greatest failure, right? You think about the life of Peter, at the crucial moment when Jesus needed him most, what he lacked was sober judgment. He was with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane the night before Jesus was crucified, and Jesus wanted Peter to pray with him. What an honor for Jesus to say, "Peter, would you come and pray with me along with James and John?" What an incredible honor. And of course, what does Peter do? Instead of praying, he falls asleep. And then having fallen asleep later on when the pressure was on, he fell apart. So what was Peter's problem? Why did he fail in prayer at that key moment? Well, it wasn't a lack of passion. Nobody was more enthusiastic than Peter was, right? He'd been brandishing his sword at Jesus even earlier and that night, saying, we're ready for me and you, Jesus, and my sword, and we're going to win some battles. He was passionate. And he had faith. He believed. Peter believed that he and Jesus could win this battle. There was no doubt in his mind. His problem wasn't passion. It wasn't faith. His problem was his mind was muddled. Right? He was confused. He didn't know what was going on. And not like Jesus hadn't tried. Right? Jesus said again and again, tried to get Peter and the rest of the disciples to understand what was going on, what was to be expected. But they were just filled with fuzzy thinking and wishful thinking about Jesus. They expected this typical earthly battle kind of thing instead of the real spiritual battle that was about to take place. If Peter had been clear-eyed and understood the situation like Jesus, he would have known that he didn't need a quick nap. He desperately needed to pray. But because his thinking was unclear, his prayer, well, he didn't pray at all. He just fell asleep. Clear minds make for powerful prayers. So this may seem a little ironic, but keep your eyes wide open in prayer. Right? That's what Peter's saying. Keep your eyes wide open, not necessarily literally, but keep your eyes and your mind wide open when you pray. And this is why your prayer matters. Because you have unique insights into the situations that we're praying about. You have a unique perspective about what's going on in your life, in the life of your family, life of the church, and what's going on in the world. You have a perspective that others don't have. And so your prayer from your angle is important because we need all of our prayers. I know, maybe if you've ever been in a group prayer meeting where like there's a number of you gathered and you're all praying for kind of the same thing. So here's how it goes for me. So we're in this group and we're kind of each taking turns praying. And again, we're praying about some event or some person or some situation. So we're praying, roughly about the same thing, and I will offer a prayer. And I mean, I constantly think this, but in my mind, my attitude will be, well, that's it. I just pretty much prayed for everything that needs to be prayed about this situation. And so everybody else will just be redundant. Their prayers after mine. And then the next person will pray, and they'll pray about something that, and I'll think, I never thought about that. That's a really important thing to pray. I'm glad that person was here in my group to pray about this, because I would never have thought to pray about that angle on this situation. Your prayer matters. Every person's prayer matters. We all need to be bringing our own life and our own perspective and our own connection with God into our prayers. We need that as a church. Your prayer matters. That's how you can light your candle. And then a second thing that you need, that Peter talks about, is your love matters. Verse 8, he says, above all, he begins with prayer, number one, but then he says, above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Like we need each person's prayer, we need each person's love, because we all love in a different way, don't we? Moms and dads are the greatest example of this, right? About how you can love, because moms and dads typically love their children equally, but not at all the same, right? I mean, the kid scrapes his knee, and one of the parents is there with a hug, and the other one's like, rub some dirt on it, let's keep going. It's both love, right? It's both love. And it's both important, because one brings the comfort, the other one kind of toughens the kid up a little bit. Right? Kids need to learn how to be tough, right? This doesn't end when the children are older. My boys call home. They call home to talk to Lisa for different reasons than they talk to me, right? So they just want to talk about what's going on, what's happening, and guess who they call? They call Lisa, right? But if they've got a question about, what's going wrong with my car, or, I got some problem with the insurance company, guess who they're calling? They're calling Dad, right? Not that I necessarily know anything about any of those things, but they call me anyway, and I take my way through it. But different parents, same measure of love, but expressed differently. And in the church, we are all to love each other deeply. But you know what? The love of Christ is so multifaceted that no one of us can love completely. We may love deeply, but we're not going to love completely. We need all of us to be loving each other, so that all of the different aspects of the love of Jesus can be known and felt and become the atmosphere and the reality in this church and in each of our individual lives. Each one of us emphasizes a particular part of Christ's love, and so each one's love matters. Your love matters. And then, as a mention of that love, he gives specifically in verse 9. He says, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grudge. There was a documentary that was done a number of years ago. It was an award-winning documentary. It was called The Lost Boys of Sudan. And it followed the lives of some young African refugees who had to start life in America, having grown up, they were teenagers pretty much, having grown up their whole lives in the Sudan, and they were in the middle of like a civil war over there, and so they had to flee for their lives to America. So you can imagine the things they'd gone through in Africa. But when they got to America, it was a whole new set of problems and a whole new set of struggles to overcome. And then on the very top of the things they had to struggle with in the United States was loneliness. And the documentary focuses on this group of young men who had been relocated to Houston. They found jobs there. And in one of the scenes, one of the boys, whose name was Peter, they were filming him as he had lunch outside, like at a picnic table or something, and he was eating lunch with like two co-workers from the factory job that he'd started there. And in heavily accented English, he shares about his struggles in the U.S. And listen to what he says. Comparing the U.S. to Africa, he says, I see different things. Everybody is busy. You can't get friends. Time is money. But in Africa, there is no time is money. Everybody is busy. How am I going to get friends here? I feel like going back and saying, there are no friends here. That's his take on the United States. There are no friends here. There's so many people. That's true. It's a question we have to answer here at Landmark is, are there friends here? Are there friends here? And trust me, when people walk in through these doors for the first time, right at the top of the list is the question, are there friends here? Are there friends here? And every single one of us must answer that with a yes. Not just with our words, but also with our deeds. Your welcome matters. How you welcome people and include people into the life of this church. That matters. Your smile matters. Your handshake or your hug, it matters. You're walking up to somebody to introduce yourself for the first time. That matters. Noticing that person who's off by himself and nobody's paying attention to him and going over and starting a conversation, that matters. Telling about your Bible study, your small group, and inviting people to come to that matters. Listening to and praying with the person who's hurting, that matters. When you're gathered in a circle of conversation and there's somebody on the outside, opening up your circle to let them walk into it and join the circle, that matters. There may not be any friends out there, but if we are the body of Christ, there must be friends here. Your welcome matters. This afternoon, we've been talking about the block party. You know what the purpose of the block party is? The purpose of the block party is not for us to go have a good time with each other. The purpose of the block party is for us to welcome our neighbors. To go up to someone that we don't know, or maybe we haven't seen since the last block party a year ago. Go up to them, start a conversation, see how they're doing, get to know them. If God leads, invite them to church, invite them out to coffee, whatever, however God leads. But extend that welcome to our neighbors. Your prayer matters. Your love matters. Your welcome matters. And finally, your gift matters. We all become familiar with the phrase, Houston, we have a problem. And it's from Apollo 13, the actual event as well as the movie, Apollo 13, in which there was a problem. In this Apollo space mission, something was going wrong, and it was, it was life-threatening. It was certainly a cause of death of the astronauts, but a whole team of brilliant NASA engineers did just amazing engineering ad-libbing and managed to fix this problem that everybody was saying. So you probably are somewhat familiar with Apollo 13. You may be less familiar with the fact that there was also a dangerous malfunction during Apollo 11. But this one wasn't solved by a bunch of brilliant NASA engineers. This one was solved by one of this crew. There we go. One of those guys, and when they were that age, solved the problem. Specifically the kid second from the left, whose name is Greg Force. He was 10 years old, and he saved Apollo 11. Let me tell you the story. It was around 10 o'clock at night on July 23, 1969. And this little boy, Greg Forrest, is at home with his mom and his three brothers there. Hopefully they've taken baths by that time. But anyway, his dad, Charles Forrest, was at work. Charles Forrest was the director of the NASA tracking station in Guam. And the family at that time was living in Guam. And the Guam tracking station was very important to the Apollo mission. They had a key communications thing, that a special antenna there, which linked the engineers in Houston with the Apollo astronauts. It was the communication link. And it was the last communication, it was critical, the last communication the astronauts had before they headed down to Earth and splashed down. But on the last minute, so it was critical to communicating what they needed to communicate, but at the last minute that night, a bearing in the antenna failed, rendering the antenna nearly useless. So this communication line was broken down. Well, to properly replace the bearing would have required taking apart the entire antenna, and there just wasn't time to get that done. So Charles Forrest, the dad, thought of a creative solution. He figured that if he could just get grease, if he could pack grease around a bearing in the antenna, that would do the trick to be able to get through far enough to be able to for the antenna to work as long as they needed it to. The only problem was nobody at the station had an arm small enough to reach through the 2.5-inch opening to get down there and pack that grease. So he thought, Greg can do it. So he sent somebody to get his kid, and here's the next picture. There's a picture of him. He reached his skinny little arm down to the grease, and he packed the grease in around that bearing. It worked, the antenna worked, the communication worked, and the astronauts splashed down safely the next day. So, all of these well-educated, well-trained, literal rocket scientists, they're working for NASA, and the mission was successful because of one boy with skinny arms doing what none of those grown-ups could do. 1 Peter 4:10, each one of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. And maybe the most important words in that statement is, each one of you. You have a unique and powerful role in doing God's work. Each of us, well, I think of it like this. Each of us is like a gift card, right? So I've got a few, I'm trying hard to get rid of my gift cards, but I've got a few in here. I've got this Olive Garden gift card. You probably can't tell, but this is a Starbucks gift card. I've got a Green Mill gift card here. So I've got a few gift cards left. Now, each one of us, we can think of as being a gift card from God. God has loaded up. So what do you do with a gift card? You know, you're going through the line at Walmart, they load up a certain amount of money on your gift card, right? Or Olive Garden, or wherever it is. God has loaded onto each of us a bunch of gifts. He's loaded onto each one of us talents. He's loaded onto each one of us experiences and interests and different kinds of expertise and abilities and wisdom. Okay, all of this He's loaded in the gift card that is you, the you gift card. Now, what's the purpose of a gift card, right? Is it to look beautiful in your wallet? The purpose of gift card is to go buy stuff, right? Buy some coffee, buy some pasta, right? This Olive Garden, you know what I'm going to get with this Olive Garden gift card? Braised beef and tortellini. It's my favorite dish at Olive Garden. That's what this is going to be turned into, braised beef and tortellini. But here's another thing about it. Maybe you're like this. One thing that really bugs me is having money left over on a gift card, right? You got like $3 left over on the gift card. Now maybe some of you just throw it away. I don't. If there's $3 left on my gift card, I'm keeping it in my wallet till it's all used. In fact, I don't really know how much I've had this Starbucks gift card for a while. I don't know how much is left on it, but it's not leaving my wallet till I get my full coffee's worth out of this gift card, right? And you know what bugs God? And you know what? The times we are in are too urgent to allow to happen. And that is for a single penny of the you gift card not being put to use. To love God and to love your neighbor. God loaded all of these talents and abilities and experiences into you, not so that you would look pretty in his heavenly wallet, but so that those gifts can be put to use, getting the good news of Jesus Christ out to our world, showing love to the people of our world. So you know what we need to each do? Spend it all. Spend it all. Here's a goal that is worth giving your whole life to take every penny of ability, every penny of experience, every penny of giftedness, every penny of opportunity, take every penny that God has loaded into you and spend it all in service to him and service to other people. This is what you don't want to have to say to God on Judgment Day. You don't want to have to say to him, you know, God, yeah, you gave me lots of talents, and there are lots of opportunities, but you know what? I just kind of left them on. I didn't really do anything. You do not want to have to say that to God. When you stand before the throne of God, you want to be able to honestly say, Lord, you have loaded all these things into me, and I spent every penny for you. Your gifts matter. Spend it all. Your prayers matter. Send it all up to God. Your love matters. Give it all to your neighbors. Your welcome matters. Extend it to everyone. Everything God has loaded into you matters. Spend it all. I'm just going to stop right there and let's just have a moment of quiet. I just want you to go to God.